welcome to our third matchup here on the A stream. I'm Intero. I'm joined by Pengu, and we have yet another regional matchup of Direwolves in APAC versus Oxygen in NA. What are your expectations for this matchup, Nick?
Honestly, I have no idea. Because Direwolves is a team that I haven't seen much of, and so far in their games, they've had mixed results, but also the way they play the game, like APAC does typically, is just a little bit chaotic and can be hard to follow sometimes if you don't know the teams too much. Ocean, on the other hand, we've seen them every single week in the NAL. They've been pretty good so far.
Well, not every week. I wasn't there for a lot of the...
That's true, you were sick a lot of time. And we had to pick up the slack from you being gone and get in like substitutes and stuff. It was a great time. But I'm expecting a banger of a game, as we are. The competition has been tight so far this event, across every single region.
Yes.
Which means that don't count APAC out.
Never count APAC out, you know? Direwolves, obviously, Taiwanese team coming in from APAC. Looks like one of the best teams in the entire region. And, well, they're going up against a team that finished second in North America. OXG had a pretty good day yesterday. They looked very comfortable. And, well, I mean, Direwolves is a team that needs no real introduction if you're from APAC or you watch APAC. But, Nick, would you like to walk us through Direwolves?
So, Direwolves, first of all, they were undefeated in APAC South, going 7-0. Didn't even go OT. So, absolutely amazing. This roster is Souffle, Pecan, ED, Jackie Wu, and Harambe. And you did hear that correctly. They do have a player named Harambe, which we always find comical with these player names sometimes. But you know what? We're going to have a great time with it. And so far, in both their regular APAC South as well as the playoffs that they had, they've played 7 out of the 9 maps that the pool has to offer, which means their map pool is actually quite good. But when you dive into the stats, they've played Villa twice, they haven't won it. They've played Theme Park once, they have yet to win that as well. So I guess you can argue that they have a big map pool, but they've found limited success so far, and the further you go at a major, the more that's going to punish you, because good teams will take advantage of that.
One of the best things to happen to the Direwolves was a terrible situation for Elevate, which is that by Elevate not being here, there are only 3 teams in this group, which means that for all of those 3 teams, Direwolves included, you have a much higher probability of qualifying for the playoffs. For those of you that don't know, both these teams are in Group A. Oxygen currently leads the way. They won their matchup yesterday. Team 1 played 2 matches. Direwolves only played 1. And Direwolves didn't exactly have the best results. They only won 2 rounds. But this is their first international LAN event outside of course, playing with international teams in APAC, which they tend to do. But for Oxygen, this is a team that started out really strong in the NAL, and then, I don't want to say fell off, plus L plus ratio. What I want to say is that their schedule got maybe a little bit tougher. So OXG struggled in the thick of it, but I still think they were a top-performing team. They finished second in the North American League. They currently lead this group as it was a 7-4 victory for them over Team 1.
Yeah, on the other side, Direwolves, in their only game, or first game here as well, it was a 2-7 loss against Team 1 on Border. And the one area where Direwolves really fell apart was aggression. When Team 1 was running into them, that's when they fell apart. And OXG, Parker, you know as well, they are an aggressive team. The addition of Newers on this roster as the injured player and arguably one of the star players of OXG can really tear apart Direwolves if he goes on a good streak like we've seen him multiple times in the NAL.
Hold on.
What?
Did you just see that?
What?
The man blew us a kiss.
Oh, he did?
Newers just couldn't care at all.
Newers doesn't care.
He's just dialed in.
He's still looking for her. You know what I mean?
What is that?
What is that?
Nicholas, we have to go to a map.
We do?
And the maps are ready, so we'll come up on your screen for just a second. And then over my shoulder yet again,
I was going to say.
I'm sorry,
You're
never
not even
mind.
there.
It's a different process over here. They've streamlined it on the A stream today, and it frankly made me look like an idiot. Which is okay, because I usually don't need help in that department. Theme Park is going to be our map. And yesterday, if we talk about all the maps that we saw played, what word comes to mind? Safe. Safe maps.
Safe maps?
Yeah, it was all like Oregon and Bank. It was all the old
so
you didn't listen.
I want to clarify why I was confused, because all we've seen today is Theme Park.
No,
so
I
it's
know.
Like today's starting off at a whole different level.
It was almost like
It's almost like you said that.
It's almost like I was setting it up.
I
It was
actually
almost
didn't
like
hear
yesterday.
you.
It was like, oh, we're all playing safe maps. But what is today,
I was
Nick?
kind of spacing through, going through the map bans because I was curious, when did Direwolves ban border that they lost against Team 1?
Just can't find good help these
Last
days.
ban that they had was the border ban. I'm sorry.
We almost went to Oregon.
Yes. We almost went to
Well, that's
Oregon.
not true.
Thankfully
We didn't see all theme park today. There was border.
No, no, mostly.
Mostly theme park.
Mostly.
People just want to play around, man.
Yeah, they do. But it makes sense. We actually spoke about this on the B stream yesterday, that we're going to start off with the major with safe, comfortable picks. And as we go further in, we got to start bringing out both the new strategies as well as that wider map pool, so to speak. And that's why it's impressive, because Direwolves, they've played 7 maps across their domestic play, and so has OXG. The only maps OXG has yet to play is Skyscraper and Bank, and the only maps that Direwolves have yet to play is Bank and Chalet. So they share that same Bank map.
Both of these teams have played theme park. The record
Yes.
for Direwolves on theme park, not the greatest. They are 0-1.
But
Fair enough.
remember that OXG game that they had.
That's true. OXG is up 1-0 on theme park.
And who did they beat? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
TSM. Because TSM took them there, amongst other teams, and they lost
Wow,
every
they beat
time. but-
TSM?
Yeah.
That must have been a really tough game.
That's what you would have thought in the beginning of the NAL, but as we know towards the later half of
No,
it,
see, Nick, it was a
beating
joke
TSM
because-
is not. They might have not done that. I'm clarifying here. Yes, OXG played this map once. They beat TSM, which is not super difficult in
gonna
their
be a
current
long day.
situation, but they have still won it
It's going to
once.
be a really long day.
We're just getting started.
We're just getting started.
Anything you want to add?
No, I'm so disappointed.
I'll try and make it up to you, Parker. I'll try my very best.
Thanks, I really appreciate you. Obviously, for everybody that's watching on the A stream, we have to let you know that there's a B stream going on. You saw both Stokes and Blue gracing your screens moments before going live to update you about what is going on regarding the situation with the 3 Brazilian teams in Mexico and whether it was going to be played on LAN. It is. That was the announcement that they made. So for those of you that want to go back, feel free to go back and watch it. But the B stream is also live. It wasn't just an announcement for your pleasure, and as cute as Blue and Stokes may be, they're also very good at their jobs. So if you want to go over to the B stream, feel free to head on over there and watch the matchup. It's going to be Dark Zero playing against W7M. So you've got one Brazilian team in action. We have a Brazilian team actually up next, as
Yes.
OXG will play 2 matches today. After going against the Direwolves, win or lose, they have Team 1 on the docket next. If OXG beats Direwolves and beats Team 1 today, I'm not a mathematician, but that pretty much guarantees their spot in the playoffs. I don't see them falling into 3rd at that point, which means that they would be one of the first teams to qualify.
It would. And also with Astralis' win that we just saw only a couple minutes ago, they're also closing in on that playoff spot as well.
Very
so we're
close.
slowly starting to shape the picture of who's in a good position, who's in a less good position, and what the odds are of actually qualifying.
Right. Because right now, in terms of the math of that group, there are still 2 more games to go per team. Astralis plays the Chiefs later today. If they beat the Chiefs in regulation, that guarantees Astralis 11 points, which would, if my math is correct, number 1, eliminate the Chiefs, and number 2, make it so that Astralis was, at that point, maybe the first team to qualify for the playoffs, because with Astralis having 11 points, the next closest competitor who's not in the top 2 is Wolves, and they're at 4 points, and that means that if they win both of theirs in regulation, their ceiling is 10 points, which is lower than 11. I don't know if you do math, but Canadian education system coming in clutch here. Let's go to theme park, by the way. Oxygen versus Direwolves. Direwolves, DW, starting on defense, OXG on attack. We're in the ban phase. It is a best of 1, 12 rounds of regulation, 15 rounds if overtime is needed. No unlimited overtime. The teams get to swap sides for those 3 rounds of OT, and the first ban is a Thatcher.
Yep. Starting things off safe here, and Maverick being followed up as well is not something that's quite out of the ordinary. They work the same way. They can get you through walls quite easily. This does actually mean that Kali is in a very, very high value position if either team chooses to bring her out. This would make a lot of sense if that was the case. Mira is the defender to fall first, and second one up. I mean, going by the standards here, we can talk about Kaid, we can talk about the Valkyrie, probably 2 most likely situations. Yep, there's the kite.
Yeah.
That's of course because the
Makes more
Thatcher
sense.
is off the board and the Maverick, which means when you're on that armory thrown bomb site, you can simply just put a kite claw on the hatch. It's practically impossible for attackers to get that hatch opened up, and that's something that both teams would like to do when they're on the attacking side. So safe, comfortable bans, if you will. This will make the game difficult in some areas. It's hard to get through walls. It's hard to get through the reinforced areas on the map. So we will have to see how teams can problem solve around it. And that's why I mentioned the Kali. If you see her, that is why. If not, well, then you just won't see her at all. You were distracting me there, Parker, for a moment.
I
don't know if you
apologize. I was trying to get the lights dimmed for us, but production.
So rude.
Initiation office upstairs. A rook coming in. This might be unusual
God.
for people, by the way. Rook's pick rate is, well, it's in the basement.
It's in the basement.
It's in the basement. Not a lot of teams like to bring the rook. If you're going to bring some kind of staying power or potential, you might want to bring a dock. And I hate to give him credit, but there was a specific Swedish YouTuber whose name I dare not utter, who said with all of the grenades being thrown beneath
Yes.
depth charges, as they were affectionately referred to as by Lycan, would it make more sense to bring a rook? Because what happens if you get hit with a nade while wearing rook armor?
Well, you will not ever die. You're forced into the down but not out, aka injured state instead. But the thing is, when you get injured in pro play, well, a second nade will follow through and then you're dead regardless. But I do agree, the rook is not a bad choice by any means. You get a nice 2.0 scope on your MP. Well, actually, he's playing P90. So you don't actually get the scope. You get 1.5 on the P90. But yeah. Rook is a frag-oriented operator where like you just play for yourself, you play for kills, because your gadget you put down in the prep phase, you pick up the armor, that's it. Now you're just a loose element with 2 impacts in your pocket.
I mean, is there something to be said for this P90? 51 bullets on the defense. Has one of the largest magazines of any of the defender weapons. If you
Second largest.
And what's the largest?
The Alda.
Of course, there you go. Rat-a-tat-tat on Maestro. But other than the P90, is there maybe some thought process here suggesting, well, if you can't beat them, join them. All the attackers get LMGs. So this is an LMG, of course. It's an SMG. But you still get a lot of bullets. You do fire back.
One-shot headshot on any weapon, and of course the Recon P90 is not too crazy, so it could be that one of those we can contest the LMG player situation. There is just one on the board that is Newers on the finger. That is his operator of choice in pretty much every single map and every single bomb. So we see his first combat right here. It's Harambe off the board, and the second one to follow on Jackie Wu as well.
Well, they just feed themselves in as OXG gets those very first 2 opening picks. One of the win conditions for OXG has to be Newers showing up.
Yes.
He plays on that Finka roll. Yesterday there was a stat that got widely shared that I'm sure many of you saw about how almost every single Finka main went positive. Souffle takes down Laxing. That's the very first kill for Dire Wolves. They try to keep it close. Vertical taking some damage from the Storm of ED. But Dire Wolves haven't been able to sustain a kill from that yet. Pecan right now sitting at 1 HP, and because he's not a dock, he's the different GIGN operator, that's where he's going to stay. Tons of munition, as he can fire away with the P90 and watch that torn apart wall leading into Arcade.
Yeah, but when you're only 1 HP, you can't do much, and that why Vertical gets an easy kill there on his side. With 2 more Adrenal Surges left, they can heal back up their teammates, but won't matter because a 3v1 with ED has to take these confrontations 1v1 to try and get this round.
Well played by ED to get 1 kill, but that's all she wrote. Direwolves ultimately get pinned down by OXG as almost all of the action happens off the bomb site. It was over towards that bunk daycare side of the map, which is very integral when you're holding initiation or you're holding office. It's also an important part of the map if you're defending Drug Lab down below. Direwolves obviously liked that part of Theme Park so much that that's where they're going to go for their second defense. They're going to bring the Rook again, and they're going to play over in bunk and daycare.
So the thing about Theme Park is typically the side rotation goes Armory Throne, so the bomb site down below is like #1 for most teams. Bunk, where we are currently, is typically second favored, and then people actually go Drog or Lab third. So the office bombs that we just saw, even though nothing actually happened on the bomb side, is extremely low in play rate as well as success rate across most regions. Now, with the current operator bans, it's hard to deny the walls because there's no kite, but at the same time, the mute alone will do so much damage, or deny in that regard because both the Thatcher and the Maverick is not available, which means Harambe on the mute can deny almost every single wall they need to, and then you gotta leave OXG to be the problem-solving team, because this map is all about problem-solving around the breach and the wall deny, and then playing together. And that's why you saw 4 or 3 members of Direwolves extending halfway across the map to try and hold that cafe area you see Pecan right now, because you need to try and hold the ground, but most importantly, you need to do it together. If you fall one by one in isolated gunfights, that's how the attackers thrive, that's where they thrive. So if anything, throw bodies at your opponents, but do it together. That's what Direwolves has to do this round to find more success.
Absolutely correct. 30 seconds into the round now, and the lineup for OXG looks relatively familiar to what we've seen out of them before. Newers will lead the way in with that Finka and LMG in hand.
In 10 seconds time after I reloaded.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not quite there just yet. That sounds like an air jab just went off, by the way, knocking somebody on Direwolves over tea kettle, if you know what I mean. There's a word that obviously I can't say on live television. Either way. Direwolves don't seem to be holding too aggressively off the bomb site at the moment. They're all within striking distance, which is similar to what we saw back in round number 1. Obviously, the big difference between them is that they don't have as much room to maneuver because OXG are pressuring the same spots. They want to go through daycare. They want to go through cafe, and that's the entry point for them. Exact same as what OXG in the previous round did. ED will be the first line of defense as he pivots, watching towards that cafe door, but also arcade window, and instead he'll head down the stairs. Foxe is right there, by the way, and, well, ED gets the first kill, but it's traded back. Immediately, Vertical walks in. The MVP from stage 1 of the NAL will not see Harambe, and he gets absolutely torn to pieces. Vertical's down for the count. It's a 3v3 with just over a minute to go.
Here we see Direwolves playing much tighter together, playing those trades that we saw. Harambe doing a good job locking down the bombs about halfway across the map, actually, all the way on top yellow stairs. Newers, the entry for his team, but still alive and hasn't really had a gunfight in this round yet. And Pecan is waiting patiently on this fridge, looking for someone who might be rappelling this window, hoping that he'll be misdroned. If Laxing makes the call that this area is clear, Laxing will get found out. But no, Yellow Ping comes out, Pecan finds the drone, and that now means that they both know of each other's whereabouts. But Laxing has to rappel in. Pecan could jump out, but it's highly risky. That is his bomb site quite vulnerable. He's the closest member to the bomb site.
No, plenty of time because of how early that first altercation was. Both rounds happening in quick pace. Dream decides that he wants to head towards the back of bunk. Pecan is there with the P90. Can't really control it, but he does indeed. Dream goes down. Diffuser surrendered as well. Still in that position, the Rook, again, on just a single bit of HP. This Rook armor coming in so clutch through both of those rounds. Jackie Wu sees the repel of Laxing, and now it's all up to Newers to clutch out. He'll walk into the Lion's Den, but he gets taken down by Jackie Wu. It's a 2-piece to end the round, and Direwolves tie the game.
Jackie rotating over to help Pecan inside a break room really saved the round, because when Laxing rappelled in, he was met by a 2-man crossfire, didn't take down either opponent, and as you mentioned, the Rook armor actually saving the round almost there for Direwolves single-handedly, because it keeps players alive. What it does, you see right here, you take less, or actually nowadays, you gain more HP when you pick up the Rook armor, which means that if you survive with just a sliver of health, well, without the Rook armor, you'd actually have been injured or killed.
And Pecan through 2 rounds, Nick, was at 1 HP.
1 HP.
1 HP! Remarkable.
Paying dividends already now. And also, 3rd round, same operator. They're keeping up this style, and it might just speak to the nature of how many gunfights they're expecting to get into with how aggressive that they're also playing. Not that Direwolves in round 2 necessarily peaked into OXG, but they were comfortable taking gunfights when they had to. Whereas in the first round, they quite literally walked into OXG, and that didn't work. So a bit of a gameplay style change in the 2nd round. I want to see how they do it in the 3rd one, as Direwolves seems to be adapting to the playstyle of OXG as we go on.
I mean, if it works, it works. Who am I to judge, right? But there's just a part of me there's a part of my like reptilian brain that sees a Rook and goes, I still think this is a suboptimal pick. Every single time I see the Rook, I think, I don't know if this is a good idea.
It's a fair thing to say, because on paper, there are more highly valuable operators to pick, right? There are so many good defenders these days.
Would a Thunderbird not make more sense here? If you want more sustain, more staying power, put those Kona stations down in high-trafficked areas. You've got somebody playing on arcade stairs. Okay, Put down a Kona station there. And guess what? The Rook armor might not save you, but the Kona station's immediately going to give you health.
You could even combine them both, because with the Rook armor you get more max HP. With the Kona station you can continuously heal yourself up on the bomb site on a safe area of the map, which means if you want to like full commit Kona stations plus Rook armor, you get the full business. Right now we're half committing with arguably the less value operator pick.
You know, it's... You make a great point. It just brings to mind the greatest TV show of all time, Breaking Bad, where they say no half measures, you know? And that's exactly what it seems like. You could have a full measure here right now. Newers isn't on the Finca this time, that's Verticals, but instead it's a different LMG in his hands, and it doesn't matter because Harambe is dead. Everything did seem to go sideways after Harambe passed away. In this case, will that be what happens for this round for Direwolves? Opening pick for OXG. They've got 1:30 to now take a 5v4 and see if they can snowball.
Might follow that same trend, but at the same time, they got the Valkyrie on the board. Souffle granting info to his team. Well, rather, he will enable Harambe to do that because he's the one who fell early. That means now you get a dedicated cam watcher, which actually can benefit you because rather than playing 4 versus 5, not holding anything, you're now playing 4 versus 5 with a lot of intel. So if you can communicate that correctly with your teammates and set up a potential kill to trade it back, you're now back in the lead. We'll see if Direwolves can make a adaptive play, but so far still waiting on for OXG to make the first move because they know these walls cannot be breached because of those 2 jumpers.
Been a couple times where OXG seems to be confused as to where Direwolves are pushing from. Not that time though. Pecan swatted away, Jackie Wu to fall 2. ED the only kill, he picks up 2 for his trouble. Vertical down for the count as well. Direwolves still trailing numbers, but look at this flank from ED. There's a couple air jabs over in that corner, but he doesn't see him. No, 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 ED. You have to look to the left. You have to look to the right. Souffle taken down, and ED is allowed to roam while nobody from OXG saw him. How close they came. Goodness gracious. Still in this position. Back by money now over top of Dragon Stairs. And he might be able to catch both of them, but he's flashed out. I'm sure that's a sound cue. An air jab goes off, and now
the second one.
The jig is up. Both air jabs knocking ED over, and yet he is still on the flank. OXG surely know where he's coming from. Diffuser successfully planted from Dream, and ED in control room will continue to walk upwards towards the doorway, but he's got a single panel to go through and a ton of flashes. We'll just keep him at bay. He needs to stay. 30 seconds to go, playing behind a deployable shield, and one of Oxygen's players to the left. This is a harrowing prospect. He's not even gonna get past Dream. OXG are 2-0 on this bomb site, and they're 2-1 in the game.
It's gotta feel bad. The one piece of utility, the deployable shield that you put down, is now gonna be how you fall in the very end as well. The double air jab, triple flashbang blind, absolute disaster in that tail end of the round, and ED got himself into a wonderful position, but like by a pixel, missed both the members of OXG that were arguably a free kill, and that would have caused so much chaos in the comms of OXG if that would have been a kill, because they've been like, oh my god, there's a guy here, what's going on? And that is exactly where Direwolves want to put themselves. Throw off your opponent off the board, make things so chaotic and thrive in it, because OXG themselves, they can be an aggressive team, but they're actually playing it rather slow in all of these 3 rounds so far, and that's going to cause us to change the bomb site to Armory Throne instead. On this bomb site, you can really play either the turtle on site, all 5 members, but you can also do the opposite, which you see sometimes. 4 people off the bomb site with 1 guy holding down the fortress. Direwolves can do either situation. Start aggressive early, slowly fall back. OXG, if they're not going to play it fast-paced, they're going to run out of time eventually. So that's something that Direwolves can abuse. That is the clock.
Oh, Rook lasted 3 rounds, Nick.
Yeah, he's gone. He's not
Gone now. Now it's a Frost instead. Direwolves changing up their lineup multiple times. The Frost is an interesting one on this Throne defense.
Not a lot of windows you can put them under, really, but at the same time...
Maintenance, barrels.
Okay. Not
maybe drug if you think they're going to
pop. Not a lot of
they're
windows near the bomb site, I guess I should say. There are like hot walls between them.
This is a brazen play by Gong. ED taking the gunfight to the 2 drones that were thrown in by OXG. 3 drones, actually, it looks like. He's wasting a lot of time, and it's done actually a bit of damage to Newers, but all of that is now gone as it's an adrenal surge used to top up the players from OXG. Gunfire still going over towards lockers, and about the bottom of yellow stairs, Direwolves will get away.
But look at this, it's taken OXG a full minute to go into the first room of Gong, allowing Direwolves again to play down the clock. They've now spread upon the top floor while still having bomb site presence. OXG will have to clear out the majority of the map still if they want a roam cleared. And there's only one member on the bomb site, so it's 4 roamers here for the situation of Direwolves, which means that it can get very lethal very quickly. It seems like they're hiding in corners mostly, waiting for those drones, trying to deny the intel. If you see top left, there are only 4 drones left in the pockets of OXG, which means very, very soon they'll have to walk around blind.
Vertical continues to creep on up. He's blinded as that's some friendly fire with that secondary gadget. Direwolves have now managed to keep OXG at bay for the full 90 seconds. This is a good full court press on the roam, but I think the time for them is to get back to the bomb site. A nitro cell could be ready, but a grenade instead sails on over. There's the nitro cell to answer. No damage done. OXG manages to evade it. An adrenal surge goes off, and the grenade will take out any mute jammers on the other side of the wall, allowing the exothermic charge to blow it wide open. 1 minute to go, and Oxygen have finally applied some hard breach pressure, and now the deployable shield on that throne door is also gone. OXG are taking the steps they really needed to get done maybe 30 seconds sooner. Either way, they still got it done.
The difficult part now is that the Thermite is running flashbangs. You don't have smoke to the 9 lines of sight, no Osa, no Monty, no shield, no cover to walk into the bomb site. Meanwhile, you're also getting flanked by 2 members of Direwolves, with Laxing trying to hold on the flank. Air jab is good, Laxing open a kill. If he can't follow us up, it's 4v4.
And that's the very first kill for OXG. Traded off right away. Harambe goes down 2. ED with the shotgun, close range. He wanders out and, oh no, you gotta get out of there, ED, you gotta go! Foxay picks up 2 very easily, and it's Pecan in the middle of the bomb site. No Rook, no P90, just Frost and a Dream. A tiny bit of HP, and the pitter-patter of the gun will do nil. OXG takes their second round in a row. They stretch the lead by 1. They're up 3-1 on Theme Park.
So Direwolves could have played the clock there, could have played the side more. They went for a very big flank with multiple members at the same time. It didn't really pay off, and one big reason for that is because OXG's been running Nomad each and every single round so far, and they've been doing that to great success. This is going to force a Direwolves tactical timeout. They want to figure out what they can do to get the last 2 remaining defensive rounds, because typically speaking, you want to go 3-3 at the least if you're on the defensive side. And sure, we can talk about the Kaid ban, maybe making things difficult, but remember, the ban of Kaid was a choice from Direwolves themselves. They made that decision, and so far, they seem a little bit lost without it, perhaps.
And tactical timeout now from Direwolves, and I gotta wonder if when you go to a map like Theme Park, and Direwolves are on defense.
Yes.
Do you care to give us a breakdown as to whether this is a defender map at the top level? Obviously, we can't just glean it from the info we have at this event because it hasn't been played a ton. But if you're Direwolves and you're on Theme Park and you think back to the old Theme Park, this was a very defender-sided map. Being in such a hole so early on is obviously not ideal.
So, of course, the complicated thing about this is that it depends per region, right? Let's look at APAC South, where these guys are from. Theme Park has not been played.
Okay, well.
So let's look at NA instead, right? Let's do that instead.
Just look at the other regions.
Let's look at OXG, see what they
You're
like
resourceful.
about this.
You'll get it.
I'll get it right one day. So for OXG side or for NA side, Theme Park is a 44% defensive win rate, but again, numbers are a bit skewed because TSM played this map like 3 or 4 times and lost at every single one like massively. So
thanks, TSM.
We don't trust the NA statistics on this map, unfortunately.
Do you want to look up EU? While we have the people here.
Let's do it. Let's look at EU.
While we have the people here, bring up EU.
What are you saying while we have them?
While we have the people here.
Okay.
Watching.
Okay. I thought you were going to say EU teams are going home or something.
I don't believe the DZW7 match has started yet, so I think we might have both streams here.
EU doesn't play Theme Park either. So in that case, statistics...
We are flying blind. We have no idea what the current prevailing stats are.
But
and yeah, this is not a beat up on TSM.
No. Well,
but the fact that TSM went to Theme Park so much and was just not a very strong team obviously will, of course, skew the numbers quite a bit. And you're correct in that regard. The old Theme Park, back when it was in the map pool before being removed, and we went down to 7, it was a very defender-sided
It
map.
was, I believe it was statistically the most defender-sided map, except for Villa when that map first came around, like in the 80s%.
Villa was like 60-40. Down goes Pecan, by the way. Newers again on the entry, looking more like the first couple games of the NAL Newers and not the last couple games of the NAL Newers. Jackie Wu firing through the walls. He sees some tracers losing HP in the process. Nobody from OXG has any damage done to them. All 3 Adrenal Surges still in the hands of Newers as well, in case they need a bit of a top-up.
Also, mind you, Bandit going down early is a bit of a tough situation if both of the B bomb site walls are reinforced, which they are, because now you can no longer Bandit trick them. If Vertical can get his Trish drone into a good position to deny these Bandit batteries, or if you toss a nade bounce off the wall will get opened up, favoring the attackers of OHD. If the Bandit was alive, you can play around that. Try and trick the wall. Jackie Wu has magnets on the wall mine to protect the Bandit. And sure, on this top yellow side of the map, there is a softball NA rotation. That's going to favor OXG because it can now apply pressure from multiple sides, and Harambe and Direwolves have to cover multiple angles now, as well as staircases.
One thing that really bodes well for Direwolves is that this is the only bomb site that they've won so far. Much of that play was being watched by the Rook of Pecan and this back component of the bomb site. But no, it's Jackie Wu here, now watching the angles. 45 seconds left. He's trapped. He's going to get pressured from the window. OXG tried to rappel in last time. I believe it was Foxe who tried to do it, and he got gunned. Or no, it was Laxing who did it, and he got gunned down. This round really started to go poorly for OXG when they tried to nade from the main arcade stairs and got picked apart by, I believe it was Jackie Wu.
Yes.
OXG have 30 seconds now to get into the bomb site. They've got some throwables as well to break through those laser gates. They're not really seeming to be too hurried. Smoke will go out from Vertical. Jackie Wu takes out Foxe. Exact same repeat. Nice shot from Jackie Wu. Hell of a performance from him. 2 big kills, still in the same position. That's all he's going to get. Newers with 1, Laxing another, but there goes Newers down to Harambe. The cross not being watched. OXG just too slow. There's only 2 seconds left. The diffuser going down. Excellent coverage from Laxing. You have to stop Souffle. He's the last player, and you don't see him. A massive blind spot, and the Direwolves go perfect on this bomb site. They pick up their second round.
The time running so low for OXG that, well, when it came down to it, the timer is 0. So if you get killed while planting, the round is over because the time runs out. Direwolves get their second round, and they get what they wanted after a tactical timeout, but they need 1 more to have a very good realistic chance of staying in this game. All right, they're finding success. It's sloppy, it's scrappy, but they're finding success. OXG actually struggling to clear out things fast enough, even though they had the smoke grenades, even though Bandit died early. So now imagine, if Pecan had stayed alive with the Bandit, if Jackie Wu's magnets were covering the grenades, then we're talking about an even lower clock for the attack inside. And I think Direwolves are starting to acknowledge this because they're playing more defensive style operators. Look at this. Alibi, Mute, Bandit, Melusi, and Wamai. They can hold down this bomb site extremely comfortably. They only have 1 deployable shield, but 1 is all they need if they don't fall 1 versus 1.
5 seconds to go.
Early roam again, similar fashion, wanting to slow down. This hatch being opened up signifies a more aggressive roam, because normally you'd want to reinforce it, fall back with the arcade stairs or yellow stairs. So this is going to mean that, you know, 4 Mavericks can stay above with a quick way back to bomb side in case EV needs the help.
I am so excited to see this OXG loadout. One of 2 things are going to happen.
Okay.
You've got Foxe on the Montaigne, you got a Glaz in the hands of Vertical, and then a Lion and a Finca.
Yep.
You're either going to absolutely eviscerate Direwolves, and nobody from OXG is going to die except for maybe 1, or you're going to go to push in on whatever your Monty strat is, and you're going to get nitro-celled, and you're going to die. And that's it, and it's going to fall apart, and OXG is going to get smoked. There's no middle ground.
I agree.
I do not see this being a close match between the 2 teams on this round. I just don't. It's going to go 1 of 2 ways. Harambe decides to dance with death, but he's got 2 left feet. Down he goes. That's Newers on rappel. Foxe taken out, but Newers still on rappel. And an Adrenal Surge done, along with an E1D from the Lion, will keep Direwolves in place while also getting Foxe back up.
I mean, so but ED was going to jump out. He's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. 2 of my friends got smoked trying to challenge Newers. I'm not going to be the 3rd.
Well, you're going to try to jump out when an Adrenal Surge is going. You're also going to try to jump out when an E1D goes. You lose that 50-50. All you would do is secure the Montaigne. If you don't secure the Montaigne, It's a 2v5 on site with a Glaz and a Monty in play.
And you got SMG-11, so it's like, what are the odds of you even securing the Monty
Right.
in the first place?
You maybe get a kill or two, that's about it, and then you're as good as dead. You trade yourself out. For the Monty, sure, but there's still Glaz. There's still full utility on this OXG lineup. I think that's the right call from Direwolves not to go for that. It would have been a high risk, but not a ton of reward.
Oh, I agree. The thing about these adrenal searches is that OXG can take their time now. They got the 2 kills. Now Foxy almost back on full HP. Last surge went out, and that now puts OXG in a very comfortable position. Although they might not know Jackie was lingering around because there's no drones coming in. Laxing
Ooh.
reads it, flashes it. Can't really challenge it though because the cover is there for Jackie in his favor.
Yeah, this is just a game of reflexes at this point. A head pops up. Who is more adept and has those sprier reflexes? What's Laxing, apparently? Somebody's been playing Aim Lab. Down goes Jackie Wu, and it's Pecan and ED to hold off the hordes of oxygen. They've got 40 seconds
Good
on
luck.
the North American side to break into the bomb site. A nitro cell primed and ready for split. Pecan's on the other side of it. Both players of Direwolves, very aggressive. Last one will go down, and Newers from above just absolutely destroys the bandit. And now a drop on the ground. He'll get pushed by a shotgun, but the Monty on the follow-up. ED in trouble. Can't dance around the Monty. Vertical in the midst of the smoke, guns him down. First half in the books, and it's 4-2. For OXG, the teams will swap sides.
This is what I mean. Like, there is a chance that Direwolves could turtle on the bomb site with the bandit, but with the hatch being opened up, you give yourself a line of sight towards that wall they tried to bandit trick, which, well, he ended up dying, unfortunately. So, bit of a mismatch in their synergy where you play passive operators, then you play extremely aggressive early on. I mean, one person jumped out, ED almost jumped out as well, and you lost 2 members early. Sure, one of them was a wallbang, you can't do much about that one, but every decision made thereafter, well, that was just really overly aggressive. You can maybe argue that because they lost that early member, they said, you know what, the strat's not gonna work, we've already down 1 player, let's try and swing it back. They full commit, it doesn't work out, and slowly they fall apart. Now I get to see what Direwolves can do on their attack inside. They've already attacked or repicked 2 operators. We'll see if they stick it through. Still got 25 seconds to think on it. But yeah, Jackie will back to the Monty. This is something that Foxy was playing as well to try and take map control, deny lines of sight and angles. You can either bring the smoke grenades to deny lines of sight further, or pick up that secondary heartbreach canister. What's it called? The can opener is what we call it.
You call it the can opener.
You say
They are
it as
called
well these days.
secondary hard breach gadgets.
Secondary heartbreach gadget, aka the can opener, to help solidifying the heartbreach situation. That way, as you see out on your screen, you can play maybe just a single heartbreacher and then maybe secondary heartbreach gadget, but that's not going to be the case. Amaru with flashbangs and Monty with the smokes means an explosive, possibly, or aggressive round, if they want to. Please go for that direction.
All right, well, tail of the tape for the first half. Obviously, the scoreline shows OXG winning 4-2. Direwolves' only successful bomb site was Bunk. They won it both times. Direwolves burned their timeout before going back to Bunk in round number 4. In terms of opening picks, Direwolves only got the opening pick once. They almost get it this time. For a second time, it will do just that. So Direwolves pick up their second opening pick. OXG got the first pick every single round. There was a trade 1 time. So 4 uncontested opening picks for OXG, 2 uncontested for Direwolves, and 1 basically a trade. In terms of bomb site rotation, 3 of the bomb sites were played by Direwolves. The only place that they didn't go to on defense was down below in lab.
Yeah. I think this is arguably one of the best outcomes for Direwolves to start off their attack inside. Opening kill for Amaru, that worked out, check. Now they got the Monty to check out these areas, check. The only concern here is that no one is nearby him, but there's a yellow ping on a player of Foxy, I believe. That means that now he's gonna get found out, he's gonna be stuck in a corner, no, he's gonna be dead. That's another easy picking to them. Now, 3 versus 5. This is like the ultimate test if you're Direwolves. You had a phenomenal early, phenomenal mid-game. Now you gotta figure out which wall you want to breach, how you want to breach it, and then what your execute gonna look like. While you're figuring that out, you cannot afford to get flanked. You cannot let Newers do too much damage on this map, otherwise the entire lead you've built falls apart. Take your time, do the vertical destruction. Souffle is doing just that right now. They got a full minute and 10 to work with. They're willing to push that go button.
Teams can get quite antsy when they have a numbers advantage like this, especially teams that aren't as experienced at these international events. Direwolves could have very easily fallen into that trap. They've not just yet. Nobody likes when you get to taste your own medicine, but after bringing the Monty on the previous round, OXG will have to deal with that cumbersome operator. leaving the 3 final players from OXG to sweat it out. And there's no real denial here, by the way. Alibi and Vigil have none. The only thing is the Maestro with that Evil Eye cam. In go the smokes, and the plant will follow from Harambe, cutting off sight lines. But look at this. They don't know that Newers is there. Nobody knows that he's an NAL superstar. Newers takes down Pecan and is still there. He could very easily confront the Monty. He will do just that. Worried about getting shot out as it's the drone that sees him. The plant from Harambe abandoned. Now another attempt. 20 seconds to go. Plenty of time. There's an impact from Dream to try and do some damage. Laxing just runs right in. He gets a freebie. He's back again. The deployable shield does not help ED. Things falling apart for Direwolves. It's Souffle on yellow stairs now as his whole team has been wiped out. OXG had the round, and then they lost it, and now they're getting it again. Direwolves out of time. OXG, what an impressive play to stop the diffuser from going down, and they're up 5-2.
And that's what I said about this ultimate test for Direwolves. When you're up 2 players with a Monty on the board as well, you need to really dot your I's and cross your T's, because you do have 1 less gun despite having 5 people alive, because the Monty is going to be extended. That's what happened right there. On the replay, because nobody was covering the primary angle of the bomb site once the early kill from Newers was found, and that opening was something that OXG could then abuse, take down the planter, and then play it comfortably in the bomb site with the clock slowly, or rather quickly, ticking down.
Well, think about it. You've got 2 players from OXG in the middle of the bomb site. You've got Newers offsite.
Yeah.
Newers takes down 1 of your plant coverers.
Yep.
Then everything kind of goes into disarray. The Monty, who's supposed to be protecting the thermite, he looks somewhere else. You've got Souffle on yellow stairs, who can really only cover the thermite, but their own smokes worked against them, because where they smoked inside of Throne is exactly where Laxing sprinted through. Dream at the attention on the left side by throwing the impact grenades, so you're trying to cover over towards Split. At that exact moment, ED is rotating over to Split to try and push the back of Throne. So you effectively get caught with your pants down, and nobody's covering Laxing, because you got 2 sets of eyes focused on Newers, you got 1 mid-rotate, and you got another trying to get that diffuser down, and there's just no coordination. I would love to hear the team comms from Direwolves for that round, because I imagine it was absolute chaos. OXG thrives in the chaos. They pulled off the round, hell of a comeback, and they took the round from right under Direwolf's nose.
I actually want to hear OXG's comms as well, because I'm curious how telegraphed they made that play with Newers saying, I'm going to get a kill soon. When that happens, they're going to turn around and look towards me. Then you guys make a play, because that can be set up ahead of time, you know, assuming that that's what's going to happen, because it made sense. Newers was never droned or found out. I also want to bring up the point that arguably Monty should have been the planter. That means that you have more guns, you know, towards the enemy, whereas the Monty is just that walkable drone that grants information. You can't really fight back or afford to ADS. When you play on land, when you play on low ping, when the Monty ADS it is instantaneous. There is no delay between him pressing right click and the animation. That just means that the moment that you flinch, well, you're going to die if you're the Monty player, as you'll expose your head. Next round, though, we're going somewhere else. We're going to bunk now for the side of OXG, and it's a similar fashion that, you know, this break room rappel that Laxing love to go on is something that Direwolves also like themselves. They have made a rotation. They're going on the cafe side with 2 players down below, trying to either get some vertical damage with these nades in case any members of OXG were to hide or play inside of cafe, or perhaps the bomb site itself. Of course, Pecan with these Retero drones, gonna get some information, not gonna get any value just yet. We see that shield in front of the cafe double door that he was trying to take out, but couldn't quite get to.
I don't know what it is, but there's just that name, it just conjures up like butter pecan ice cream.
Yeah.
It just makes me really hungry, and then I realize, wait a minute, I'm diabetic. So,
oh man, that's rough, Parker. I'm so sorry.
Makes me really sad. I see 9 skin on Newers now on arcade stairs. He can head down. He sees 2. This is just a visual glitch, but it looks like he's hip firing. He is not, I can assure you of that. Direwolves decide with 50 seconds left to break into the bomb site, or at least get as close as they can. It's a big 3K from Newers at the moment. ED and Harambe still alive. Diffuser in the hands of Harambe. They'll need him to plant, but he gets gunned down and pieced away by Laxing. A final swing from ED takes down Newers, so no more than 3 kills, but Vertical gets the final one, and that's match point in favor of OXG.
I mean, you brought up that one of the win conditions for OXG is if Newers wakes up, and he had quite a slow last half of NEL, but a very good first half. The version of Newers that we've seen on land so far is kind of similar. He started off slow, so kind of carrying, you know, on that last half of the NEL stage, but then At the tail end of the first day here at the Charlotte Major, he really started ramping up, finding multiple 3Ks, 4Ks, opening kills, and getting more comfortable perhaps on the LAN build and also the LAN environment. Remember, the players here, especially the young gunners that we have, they have never played on a LAN environment. You know, new desk and chair height, the entire situation like lights and cameras and photographers, and it can be very distracting to work around. So the first day or two of the group stage here is, of course, the getting into the groove, getting into the zone, getting comfortable on the LAN situation, and I think we're kind of getting there for most of these teams and most of these players. That's going to put us on match point for OXG, 6-2 currently, and they will show us in possibly what is the final round, a Drog/Lab bomb site. That means now, Parker, that bingo, we have been to every single location.
5 seconds.
Hell yeah. It's not Drug Lab anymore, by the way.
Oh, did they change it?
Yeah, it's just Lab now.
It's just Lab?
Locate and defuse the
Okay,
bomb.
so it's lab stock? Is that
It's
what-
just, yeah, I guess.
Okay.
It's just Lab now. I still call it Drug because, I mean, there's still drugs in there.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. But
It's like those, just not to call attention to it, but those aren't bags of flour, you know? So, anyway.
Lab, okay.
So Thorn coming out. We've seen some Thorn play throughout yesterday's group matches and used for a variety of different reasons. Sometimes coupled up with an Ellen Guzmat mine, sometimes coupled up with a Malusi's Banshee, sometimes just used in areas where you can't combat it. A good example is Cafe. You drop through the skylight. Razor Bloom's going to go off. You can't shoot it from above.
Is
There's
it
no
any
way.
special, really? Because out of all the regions that we have, LATAM, APAC, EU, NA, NA plays like Thorn the most by far. So, oh, there we see. Does he turn around? Oh, they're so close.
Oh, it goes off, and it doesn't do a single point of damage to the Montane of Jackie
bye.
Wu. Oh, Jackie, you're just a little bit too slow. Almost sees the silhouette of another OXG player through the wall, but that's a tough shot to be made. Jackie Wu could get trapped inside a bathroom, but now we'll just ponder the next steps inside an office. Oh. Vertical doesn't usually miss those. He wants more, though. He tastes it, and he can feel it. He's got a good idea, this one. Could have impacted the drone if he really wanted to, but those are plays that are reckless and desperately not needed. Instead, OXG will watch from above. 90 seconds to go in the round. They have control of this very pivotal part of the map, which is that arcade stairs, cafe, daycare component.
The thing about Lab bomb site is that you really play the entire map. Thrown armory, check. Upstairs as well, check. And we saw it. Oh, sorry. Parker's distracting me again with hand signals. So you're playing the entire map essentially. You see it right here from OXG. We're playing up off, reinforce the wall. Mute jammer was pre-placed there so that when the wall got reinforced, it's going to get jammed as well. And that means that once Divos get there, if they want to clear out that position, they cannot. Lax can get the first kill to Souffle. Sledge off the boards, 2 nades gone, but there's still many more to go. 2 inside of pocket of Pecan, 1 inside of ED's pocket as well.
Adrenal Surge has been used, and Direwolves in trouble losing that very first pick yet again. OXG have been mighty sharp on those first entry kills, either on attack or roam on defense. Another Adrenal Surge is burned. There's 1 remaining for ED. Time not working in favor of Direwolves. Laxing still on the roam as well. This could be particularly troubling. ED is his back turn to where Laxing is going to come from, and the position of the Finka given away as the Banshee opens up. Fox A caught in a rotate. Not ideal for him, shot in the back, but ED is not long for this earth. There's the flank from Laxing. A big pick as he's now back on the main floor, and all of Direwolves falling. Jackie Wu is down, and would you believe it, it's all up to Harambe, and sadly put down. Direwolves not having it on that round. Oxygen prevails 7-2, the same scoreline the Direwolves had against Team 1 yesterday. A big 3 points in regulation for the North American team.
Yeah, I think we're happy with that, of course. They are quote-unquote expected to beat Direwolves, I would say, but I would not underplay them, so to speak, because they are a good team and they had some good moments. And a lot of these situations actually came down to, like, for example, 1v1s, 1v2s, like close rounds with Direwolves, where if they just dot their eyes and cross their T's, as I mentioned earlier, they could probably get a few more rounds on the board. But small mistakes lead to massive penalty, and that's really why that scoreline was 7-2.
Absolutely. Yep, OXG just looked like the sharper team on both attack and defense. Direwolves winning 2 on defense. On attack, coming up empty. OXG only get a short reprieve because they're up against Team 1 next. But before we get there, let's toss to a break. We'll be right back.
A bomb has been located. 15 seconds left.
There are civilians out there who need us. They can't fight back. They can't escape. And they can't heal their own wounds. That's our job. And we're the best at it. By being careful and compassionate, we can make the world a safer place for everyone. We do this to be of service. And we can't afford to be complacent. When we go out there, we work twice as hard to protect others. Whatever we have to do, we put the people first.
Get them out of here!
That will be our focus. With unwavering diligence, we defend. And we get to say that when Wolfguard is on the field, things will be different.
All right, everybody, if you didn't tune in, you missed a relatively quick affair between Direwolves and OXG. Direwolves, through their 2 matches, have not been able to get more than 2 rounds in their games, which is a tough result for fans of the Taiwanese team. And while they are a strong performer in APAC, it is worth noting again that they are from a region that has historically had to grow after each LAN performance. Direwolves are no exception to that rule. This is their first major international event, and I honestly think, though they only got 2 rounds here and 2 rounds against Team 1 yesterday, they've shown some pretty promising signs.
They have, and I want to see them back again in the future because, as you mentioned, APAC mostly learns from qualifying, and this is their first time. I'm a little bit surprised though, because it seems like they were struggling against the aggressive version of OXG, aka Newers, and I didn't expect to have to struggle with aggression, seeing as they play so aggressively themselves and against aggressive opponents in APAC, their home turf.
Absolutely. That was the smoke, by the way, that I talked about, that
Yes.
Laxing used to his advantage to break on through. As you could see the players from Direwolves just bursting in, but they were looking in the wrong direction. How did the actual matchup go? Well, there you are. On your screen, Laxing did not really do anything that's sexy or flashy. Just kidding. Everything Laxing does is sexy because Laxing is sexy. But he went 11-3. Very quiet game from him in terms of flash. Newer seemed like he was the focus, but he ended up with only 2 more kills. As for the Direwolves side of things, you had some struggles, you had some issues in your 1v1 gunfights. ED was the top performer, but I will also say that a lot of those kills from ED did come in unwinnable/impactless situations. So while he did finish 8 and 9, not all 8 of those kills were as impactful as, say, Souffle's 6 kills in that respect.
It's true, exit kills, you call them, and I mean, Newers, I've only looked at the opening kills 5. Second highest is Laxing on 2. It really shows the story of when Newers does well, OXG does well. When you get those opening kills, when you can convert them into round victories, that's when teams mostly shine, and OXG as a team heavily plays around that. Like you said, kind of a quiet game, but 11 kills. He found a lot of kills on the flank, aka Direwolves flanking his team. He was also playing Nomad with those air jabs, so he's doing a really good work, being consistent factor for his team and ensuring that the flank was always covered.
I mean, if you were to speak to the Direwolves players, they would probably tell you that they've learned an awful lot here.
Absolutely.
They've still got more matches to go, by the way. Tomorrow, ED and the rest of Direwolves, we were talking about being the top performer, they will be in action for both matches tomorrow, but that's it for them today. OXG is up next against Team 1, but while we're on a break, if you want to hop over to the next stream, we're actually going to take you there. Never mind, you don't even need to hop.
Sit still.
You just sit still. Don't go anywhere. We will take you to Dark Zero versus W7M, currently happening on the B stream. And then we'll be back with OXG and Team 1 when it's ready. We'll see you soon.